Okay, Bob. It's quite surprising actually because whenever I turn the TV on, you always seem to be on there. So maybe I just only tune in when you're on.
It must be recording.
So when you're not working and putting the miles in and writing and stuff, what do you do?
It's a very good point, really. I mean, I just quite like. I mean, I'm never bored. I quite like. I've got. I'm very keen on music. I go to see films and things. Go to concerts now and again. I've got my vinyl collection behind here, which I'm very proud of. Stick it on the old turntable, which I did. Do quite a lot. I find a day goes very quickly. The gardening. I'm very capable mower. My Mrs. Cooper is a brilliant gardener. She teaches art. I've got to give her a good mention, actually, haven't I? But she's got a very good vision. She's got an artist's vision as a garden, and it's only a small garden, but it's we open for a couple of days every year, and I fiddle around. There are always things to be done,
Uh,
always things to be done.
I really hope I haven't been stitched up there, but I've been told you're a keen cyclist.
My cycling days may be behind me, but I've got a bike out in the shed. I could bring it in here. It's not a penny farthing. But there's a hill, and if we turn right out of the gate here, up to the top of the onto the main road, it's about a mile and a quarter climb. I imagine I'm riding in the eclipse over a mile and a quarter in a much slower time. But I used to bike up there every morning. I don't do that so much now. I walk quite a lot. And Tom Lacey used to train up the hill, and I used to pass when he had really slow horses. I used to pass them on my bike.
Was the bike ever a mode of transport for the races to work?
Don't be ridiculous. No, I mean I've done. We've had. We once went to interview. We on. I think it must have been on that at the races. Interview with Tom Lacey, and I remember being filmed riding my bike up to his yard, which wasn't. It's only about a mile away. I made that.
Now, my next question was going to be, are you a punter? But you've already said that racing without punting isn't really
No,
attractive. So tell us about your punting
I
activities.
just think betting is such a good way to have to get a bit of a reward. Obviously, like all things, eating, drinking, smoking, any habit can go wrong. So therefore, you've got to keep a check on things. But I think on its own, there is nothing wrong with betting. I think it's a very healthy pastime, and I'd encourage my children to do it. They're not interested in racing whatsoever. Um, but they are slightly. But I think betting makes the world go round. And I'm the small punter. I wouldn't call myself I would definitely be a small punter. My old dad used to say, the old cliche, never bet more than you can afford to lose. And I have been at that sort of gateway I remember being at Newbury, and I was on the verge with a credit account on the rails, and on the verge of losing my month's salary that day. And I thought, this is bad. And then doing a double or quits bet in a novice hurdle. And it was a horse trained by Reg Akehurst, which won by miles, and that got me level on the day.
You're getting
And
out
I
stakes.
thought, sitting on a train going back to London when I lived in London, I thought, this is a very nasty feeling. I don't want to do that again. So I like winning a lot. I like winning a lot for a little. Doubles, lucky 15s, place pots have been very kind to me over the years. Those sort of things.
And that's interesting about the credit accounts because I used to have credit accounts. Anybody could get a credit account as long as they had a job, couldn't they? And
Yeah,
you get in all sorts of trouble.
yeah.
These days you don't have credit accounts anymore. Pretty much you don't. So
No, that's true. This was on. You just applied for a credit account. You were given. I don't know if you even had a number. You just gave your name.
yeah, I remember a few numbers. 3301 was my Victor Chandler account. But these days, I mean, if you can pull it up, which you are, if you're betting on a normal account, then you can afford it surely. Anyway,
Yeah, we've
so
touched on that now and again, haven't we?
yes, we have.
But betting is a vital. But betting is very, very important for the survival and health of racing, isn't it? I don't want to sound too sort of like a political broadcast, but it is. It's vital, and the contribution of bookmakers and racing needs money badly. I mean, prize money is not good, and in the current climate, things are very, very serious.
And going back to your betting, would you be in front?
Well, what I hope is if I ever reach those pearly gates and St. Peter greets me, and I was hoping that you get a printout when you get there, and St. Peter says, well, you're ahead on place pots, but I'm afraid your lucky 15s, you're way down. But one always feels, I've kept a record for the last couple of years. And I would say I would be definitely play spots. I would be ahead because I've had some. I don't put that much on, and I've had some really good divvies.
Right, so is there a secret? What is a quick formula that you try and do with a play spot? Is there a strategy?
Not really. Well, anyone who reads the pools panel column at the races would probably say he never gets it right. Which you go through a long stretch of getting it wrong, and occasionally, I think the thing is you've got to take a chance. I think you can have too many lines. I think you've got to take a punt on one and you have a banker, and then maybe on a race where you think is an easy race, you may have one or two, and then the odds-on favourite might get turned over. You only need one or two favourites, hot favourites to be out of the money for a good dividend.
Okay, now hopefully, this is a quote I did read online, hopefully you did say, that it's important to know your stuff, but some people take things too seriously. Is that something you said? And if so,
yeah,
what
no,
prompted
I'd
that?
stand by that. Well, racing is meant to be, it is an entertainment, isn't it? It's meant to be fun. I know there's a serious side to it, like sort of form and things, but some people will be a bit too earnest about it, really. And I think when they start mentioning, £5 better off for a 3-length beating, I think, horses, they're even the real top ones, they're pretty inconsistent. They don't, otherwise, all the form figures, time form, the racing post ratings would get it right every time, and they don't.
Okay, previous interviewees do not take offence by no, I think quite a few people that would disagree there, but it's all about opinions, isn't it? About the.
Are they saying it is serious?
Well, when it comes to the form,
of course it's serious. Oh, I see, with the form.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'd stand by that.
Okay, now you've talked about you write for the Sky Sports Racing website.
At the races website.
At the races website.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're getting me confused now. But it's at Sky Sports Racing, but it's still at the races website.
Yeah, exactly.
Got you. Okay.
You're quick, Simon.
Yeah, thank you. Not that quick, obviously. And you also write for Racing Ahead magazine.
Oh yeah.
Very regular.
As you do yourself.
Yeah, on and off. But so you enjoy writing? Is that something that where would you put it?
I do enjoy writing. As a child, when I wasn't betting with my father and watching it on television, I had I made a sort of in-house newspaper I used to write with sort of local stories about, my parents or my grandmother losing her teeth, which she didn't actually. She always had her teeth, but that sort of thing. So I quite enjoyed writing. Yeah, I do enjoy it. I find that staring at a blank page I don't like very much, because it's awful. You suddenly think, I've got to write 1,000 words. What the hell am I going to write about? And then something comes to you, and then there's sort of a bit of magic, really. And I used to review audiobooks for the Spectator magazine. I was there and I used to review a few books for them as well. So I quite like doing that.
That whiled away the miles when you were driving to the races, listening to the books.
Yeah, exactly. I do.
Now, apart from the famous ones we've talked about, any particular interviews that stick in your mind over the years?
Any particular interviews? Well, obviously, as I'm thinking very hard, maybe not. I must say, talking to Barney Curley was quite an interesting, and I remember first time I ever met Henry Cecil, because he was very much sort of a figure of, to take seriously. I know as going back on racing being fun, but you've got these characters, but he was a very sort of charismatic character. I remember meeting him at Yarmouth, and when I was working for the Racing Channel, and creeping up behind him and saying, excuse me, and he was just so obliging. And you suddenly feel a real, I don't know, you just feel, it makes you feel really good when they're friendly and they give you a good interview. It's great.
Okay, now one of your claims to fame, Ant and Deck and Comet Relief.
Yeah, I've forgotten all about
Tell
that.
us all about that,
Yeah.
because I didn't know about it. I didn't see this.
Well, I mean, it wasn't my planning. I just happened to be doing racing news on at the races at the time in Corsham Street in a little basement. They called it a shoebox, and they were doing a charity thing, going around various broadcasting places in London. I think they said they took a bit of furniture. That was their. They didn't take it, but that was their thing. And I had a feeling they were going to come in, and I was just doing my ordinary, nonsense to camera. And suddenly Anton Deck came in and sat at the console panel thing, talking to them. It was great. They were so easy because they're just so good at their job, and they were just, they just made it seem, it was fun.
And they have been spotted at the races a few times, haven't they? Just on leisure activities. I've seen them around at Sandown and places like that.
I remember seeing them at Ascot shortly afterwards, and I went up with a microphone, and I was told by, I think someone who was sort of someone very serious lady, saying, no, you can't possibly talk to them without her. I said, but I've only spoken to them a week ago, but I wasn't allowed to talk. I mean, I spoke to them off camera, and they were very friendly. But I don't know how keen they are on racing, but it's quite good. I think it can only be good for the game, can't it, really?
Absolutely. Did the prospect of wider TV work ever cross your mind? Did you ever sort of think, I could expand a bit and not just stick to racing and sport?
No, I mean, I'd love to have done other things. I mean, I'd love to have done, I would have liked to have done that, but it's probably a bit late in the day. Unless they have, with a new fantastic sort of over 90s channel, which might start, which would be quite good, wouldn't it? Well, everyone's living longer. So if anyone is starting an over 90s channel, or even over 80s when the day comes, I would be very interested in being sort of a Michael Parkinson figure, because I think talking to people is always very interesting.
You've obviously looked at my questions, because my penultimate question was, are the pipe and slippers on the horizon? But obviously not.
Well, they're on the horizon, definitely, but I keep on thinking, I'll just give it another year, but it's, I suppose I ought to jump before I'm pushed, really. So we'll have to wait and see. But at the moment, I think I'm still reasonably, sane and can do a reasonably good job. Because I think you need all sorts on television. Not only, there's a lot of good young talent coming through, very good, but I think you need a few old sea dogs on the channel, don't you?
Absolutely. And finally, I hope she won't mind, but Mrs. Knott was quite surprised that you aren't actually Sir Bob. So where did that come from, Sir Bob?
That was Ian Bartlett started that. I think just completely by chance. He used to say, "Good morning, Sir Robert," or something like that. It did start as Sir Robert. I mean, it just caught on. It's amazing. I got a letter from a trainer addressed to Sir Robert Cooper, which is fantastic. I've got the envelope somewhere. But some people think it's real, but it's not going to happen. So I'm very flattered.
Well, the King's got a few horses. You never know.
No, but the Queen had a lot of horses, and she did know.
Okay, on that note, Sir Bob Cooper, thank you very much.
Thank you, Simon. I've really enjoyed it.
Me too, thank you.